Title: The Siren Song of Shadow Lighthouse. The sea, that untamable beast, roared beneath a leaden sky. The waves, crests of white fury, savagely lashed against the cliffs that embraced Shadow Lighthouse. It was a cursed place, a finger of stone pointing to the heavens, shrouded in a legend that chilled the bones of the most seasoned sailors. They said the lighthouse's beam, once a sure guide, was now a lure, a siren song that drew ships to a deadly trap. I, Elias, a sailor by trade and a skeptic by conviction, had always dismissed these stories as old wives' tales. But now, stranded in this forgotten corner of the world, doubt gnawed at me. Our vessel, the Wandering Soul, lay grounded, a victim of a sudden fog and an inexplicable force that had diverted us from our course. The other members of the crew, gripped by panic, whispered about the lighthouse's curse. I decided to investigate. I couldn't stand idly by while fear consumed us. Armed with a lantern and a bottle of rum to calm my nerves, I ventured onto the path that led to the lighthouse. The sea breeze, frigid and penetrating, whispered among the rocks, carrying indistinguishable voices, echoes of drowned laments. The lighthouse door, corroded by salt and time, creaked open, revealing a dark and damp interior. The smell of saltpeter and mildew permeated the air, creating an oppressive atmosphere. I began to ascend the spiral staircase, feeling the cold intensify with each step. The walls, covered in strange inscriptions, seemed to watch me with invisible eyes. Finally, I reached the lens room. The mechanism, rusted and creaking, continued to turn, projecting its beam of light over the raging sea. But something wasn't right. The light wasn't the warm, comforting guide I expected. It was cold, almost spectral, and seemed to throb with a life of its own. Then I saw it. In the center of the room, standing beside the mechanism, was a spectral figure. A tall, thin man, dressed in a faded lighthouse keeper's uniform, with a gaunt face and eyes sunken into dark sockets. His gaze, fixed on the horizon, conveyed a deep sadness and despair. "Who are you?" I asked, feeling a chill run down my spine. The figure didn't respond. He remained motionless, as if he were part of the lighthouse itself. Suddenly, a voice resonated in my mind, a deep and grave voice, full of pain and bitterness. "Come to the light." The voice was hypnotic, irresistible. I felt an invisible force pushing me forward, towards the edge of the tower, towards the abyss. The light of the lighthouse intensified, enveloping me in a whirlwind of sensations. I fought against the influence of the voice, trying to cling to reality. I remembered my family, my friends, everything I loved. And with a shout of rage, I managed to break free from the spell. The spectral figure staggered, as if he had lost a battle. His gaze turned towards me, filled with hatred and frustration. "You cannot escape," the voice whispered, now weaker, and more distant. "This lighthouse needs souls. Souls to fuel its light." I understood the truth then. The lighthouse was not simply a lighthouse. It was a malevolent entity, a living being that fed on the life energy of sailors. The lighthouse keeper's specter was its prisoner, condemned to lure victims to their doom. I decided I had to stop it. I fumbled in my pocket and pulled out the bottle of rum. Without a second thought, I smashed it against the lighthouse mechanism. The glass shattered, and the alcohol spilled throughout the room. "No!" the specter screamed, with a voice full of terror. I pulled out my lighter and ignited it. A flame erupted, illuminating the darkness. And with a desperate gesture, I tossed the lighter into the puddle of rum. The fire spread quickly, engulfing the mechanism and consuming everything in its path. The light of the lighthouse flickered, faltered, and finally went out. The lighthouse keeper's specter screamed in agony, as his form vanished into the air. The lighthouse trembled, as if it were suffering an attack. And then, everything was silent. I stumbled out of the lighthouse, feeling the weight of what I had done. The sea was still roaring, but I no longer felt fear. I had destroyed the curse of Shadow Lighthouse, freeing the trapped souls and restoring peace to this forgotten corner of the world. The next morning, the fog had dissipated. The Wandering Soul could be repaired, and we set sail towards a new horizon. But I will never forget what I experienced in Shadow Lighthouse. The siren song of the spectral light, the lighthouse keeper's specter, and the terrifying truth that lay hidden behind the legend. I knew that the sea held many secrets, but the one of Shadow Lighthouse was, without a doubt, the darkest of them all.